I realized how incredible London is because we're creative. And in the end, we're coming up with these brilliant creative ideas, and then we're surrounded by tech companies that can enable those ideas. And I think Blipper is that perfect example of a technology that can really enable creativity. And so, Mikela, you're a legend. Welcome to the stage.
Hi everyone, I'm Mikela Eskenazi. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Blipper. And really, I couldn't be more excited to be here today to speak to all of you in front of such an amazing and very promising audience. So what I hope to do with you today in the time we have together is really to show you the incredible creative opportunity that there is in immersive technology, and more specifically, in augmented reality. So first of all, before we start, I'm just going to quickly introduce Blipper and who we are for those of you who don't know us. We're one of the leaders in augmented reality software. We were founded in 2011 in London, and we've since then worked with thousands of brands across the world, and we have thousands of agencies and educators building on our platform and creating AR. And we've been regarded as one of the most disruptive, innovative companies in the past few years. So very quickly, to get a sense in the room, who has experienced AR before, not just heard about it? Wow, amazing. Okay, this is really positive. So when we talk about AR today, the perception, and as you'll see, maybe if you speak to people around you, is a lot around things like Pokemon Go. So Pokemon Go, as you know, it was a game that allowed people to collect Pokemons all around the world. It was one of the most downloaded apps in the world. It reached 500 million people at some point. So really showing that signal that people are ready to go out there, play with their phones, and interact with the real world with digital content. The second one is, of course, Snapchat. I'm sure a lot of you use that to put face masks on your face. This is what we call face tracking in AR, and this is becoming really popular. And of course, we have, cultural popular things like Black Mirror that portray AR and VR in sort of creepy and weird ways as well. So the world has an understanding of AR, but really we are at the tipping point of that technology, and this is some of the things that we'll talk about today. So let's look a little bit at the numbers and how the market is actually divided. So on one side we have augmented reality, and AR and VR are usually talked about really in the same place, in the same way, but they are fundamentally different. So augmented reality is all about enhancing reality. It's all about connecting with the real world. And that technology is available in every single smartphone, so has a huge market potential, reaching billions of users. And we expect that market to be 90 billion by 2022. So just to put things into perspective, that's a 19x growth in the next 4 years. And 70% of that is going to come from ad spend, from e-commerce, and from hardware. So huge impact in the advertising and marketing world as well. On the other side, we have virtual reality. So virtual reality is all about being completely immersed into another world with a headset, and really with no connection to the real world. And here it's a market of 15 billion. And in the middle, we have what we call mixed reality, which is also wearing a headset, but still connected with the real world. Now, those very big numbers are also backed up with the big tech giants. So you have Facebook, Apple, Google, all massively investing in this technology. And you have people like Tim Cook even saying things like AR is going to be as important as eating 3 meals a day. And once it's arrived, we will wonder how we ever lived without it. So very, very bullish. And of course, they're also investing in technology like ARKit and ARCore, which is software that allows to build AR technology on their iOS. And Facebook just launched also their AR Studio, which allows to build face masks. So really, there's something going on there. So why is this happening now? And why are we all awakening? And why is this virtual world sort of coming to life right now? So there's 3 main reasons. The first one is that the camera is becoming the primary computing interface. So if you look at kind of this timeline, we started by interacting with computers, with keyboards. We are then moving on to touch screens, and slowly we're really, and it's starting to be very dominated by natural language processing and by visual. And this is why you see the rise of Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant that was maybe launched last week if you saw that. And that's going to be a prominent way for us to interact with computers. In the vision way, it's the same thing because we have in our hands a very powerful tool called the smartphone. And we all know that, we're all addicted to it. But what's very interesting is what part of the smartphone we use, and that is the camera. The camera has become the #1 feature that we use in the phone. And so if you have the phone in front of you, you have kind of this interface that starts reading on top of what you see with your own eyes. The second driver of AR is that we're seeing computers that are starting to see and understand the world through AR. So cameras are not just filming or taking pictures, they're actually analyzing, they're understanding the same way that our brains understand the world. So they understand the world geometrically, so they understand where things are positioned, and they understand where things are. And so we start having smart cameras that analyze the world, and that means we can put and overlay content on top of that. And the third reason is that AR creation is becoming much more accessible. Oops. There we go. So here you can see in just a few clicks, without any coding skills, with or without coding skills, you are able to build AR experiences in just a few minutes. So here you'll see behind exactly it's published, and you can take your phone and immediately have an AR experience, and we'll be demoing that throughout the day as well. But the point is that it's become very easy and cheaper and accessible to do that, and also not only confined to people that have engineering and coding background. So really a fantastic time to see this technology emerging in this opportunity. And you're probably going to ask, okay, so what? That's great. This is coming, but what's in it for me, and what does it matter? It matters because it has a huge impact on our brains, on the way that we understand information, on the way that we process the world. And if we look at some of the recent research, so this was done by Mindshare and was just released last month, using AR has actually a huge impact on memory. So memory encoding sees almost 3x the level of activity when using AR. And that's a huge impact, right? So you see here the activity with a normal experience and a non-AR experience. And of course, advertising is always seeing the results of that. And we see that 45% higher attention levels than TV viewing or online browsing when you use AR. So in an economy where attention is so scarce and so easy to get, you can imagine that AR and VR will have a huge impact on how we interact with each other and how brands interact with us. It's also, of course, having an impact on sales, so 105% increase in likelihood of purchase. And we see brands that are already embracing this new technology. So here you see IKEA that's using AR for product visualization. You have Modiface, that's a company that is actually doing face tracking and allows you to try on makeup on your face. And actually, that company was bought by L'Oreal last month. So not only they're investing in campaigns, but big brands are actually really investing in this technology. And lastly, an example with Cisco, where they're helping staff training and their people to actually understand much better through technology how to use those tools, an increase of 60% in efficiency. So this is going even further with something like here, where we have auto recognition. Apologies, the videos are blocking slightly. But essentially what you're able to do, don't know where to click, there we go. What you're able to do is that you are in the street.
All they have to do is just change the focus, and our app will automatically detect it.
And this is used by an insurer in the US that's looking at a car and allows you to get an insurance quote immediately. So the real world is basically becoming an interactivity. The real world is becoming a media. This is going even further with AR maps coming ahead, so where you're able to navigate in the world around you in AR and actually see the world completely interactive, not only as a map. So here you see information overlaid on everything. And this is actually real. This is AR City that's available on iOS, and Google just launched that also last week on their software. So you can imagine a world where we're overlaying this extra digital content on top of the real world. So ultimately what's happening is that we're creating a virtual world on top of the real world. And I say the word creating because this is where creativity is going to have such an importance in building this new world, and diversity as well. And this is a topic I'm extremely passionate about because I see more and more this technology evolving, having a huge impact in our lives. But unfortunately, when it's related to technology, often it's very male-dominated. Most AR agencies and most AR campaigns are led by male teams. And I really think that it's extremely important that we have more diversity, because if we're going to look at a new world in front of us, we want to make sure that that world is representative of the planet and of who we are. Another thing is that it's changing also the dynamics and the skill set that are going to be needed in the creative world, because you're going from a flat environment to building into digital that is relatively limited, to building a world that has literally no limits, right? Where you can absolutely go crazy and anything that you can imagine can actually come to life through technology, which is very, very exciting, but again, a huge responsibility. So an example of when diverse teams work together, this is a project that we did for Max Factor, which is part of the Coty group now. So this was a campaign where we transform every single one of the brand's touch points into an interactive experience. So 500 products that tell the consumer how to use the products, the point of sale that becomes a beauty consultant in AR, and that team was led by fantastic Ali Hanan that you all know from the creative side, and female UX creatives, and it won many awards and had a huge impact on retail, and was actually considered a disruption in retail as well. So I think you'll all agree, and at least I am pretty sure of this, is that we are about to have an augmented future that is coming ahead of us, which is very, very exciting, but also a bit scary. And we do have a responsibility to think about that and think about how it's going to look like. So what I did is that I looked at a video online of what that reality could look like. And this is what I found, and this is one of the most viewed videos. So I'll let you sort of digest that, look at it. And this video is called Hyper Reality. You can find it online. And so I think you'll all agree with me that that looks pretty horrendous. And I would not like to live in that world. And this is where, the reason why we're here today is to say, don't wait for technology to just give you an augmented world or, define how that world is going to look like or where we're going, but really make it your own and make it our augmented future where you really take part of it as well. And so to conclude, I would really say that don't think of augmented reality as a technology, but think of it as an incredibly powerful creative tool that has the power to change the way that we see the world. Thank you very much.